Guys, welcome on in to Three Bold Takes. We are back. It's been a long hiatus. We've enjoyed our couple of weeks, I guess months off now at this point. But we're ready to get back in the saddle and talk a little bit of college football as it inches closer into the 2025 season. We're going to start off with a brand new story that dropped today, I believe, at the time of recording. It was 6 hours ago. Nick Saban is expected to serve as co chair on the Trump administration's Commission for College Football. Now, not a lot of people may know what that is. I know I had to do a double take and kind of read a little bit into it. But it's basically just a commission that President Trump has kind of put together in order to combat hot button issues in college football, such as the transfer portal, NIL regulations for boosters, as well as to protect the kids, Title IX, and among other things. I know that Tommy Tuberville also has met with Trump about this a lot. And so did Saban whenever he came down and spoke at the commencement at the University of Alabama. So guys, just kind of want to get your initial thoughts. Is this even going to do it? Like, does this matter? Like, is this going to change anything in the grand scheme of things? Do you see it changing, helping? What are you guys thinking? Quinn, I'll start with you.
Yeah, I mean, probably not. Maybe. I don't really think the solution's going to be putting together like a cabinet or a commission group in in the executive branch of the government to fix the issue. I think if anything, you've got to, and it could get the ball rolling on it, I guess, but really you need to set up a new version of what the NCAA was for the sport. So, and hence a governing body over the sport whose purpose is to be over the sport. And the only place where you're really going to need Congress's involvement or the government's involvement would be in allowing for like contract negotiation and caps and stuff like that, like what sports professional sports teams need for the oversight when it comes to that aspect of the game. You'll need that passed through congressional approval. But as far as this like committee, I don't really think it's going to make a huge dent. It could help get the ball rolling, like I said. But as far as it being like this will definitely be the solution, I don't think so. I think if anything, this is just going to start the process of developing a governing body to be over the sport, like what we had, but make it more akin to a professional sports league's governing body rather than what the NCAA existed as before. Because the truth is, when it comes to collegiate sports, a lot of it could still very much. The only reason we don't still have amateur collegiate sports is because of college football. This is an exclusive college football issue. Let's call it a spade here, because outside of college football, about the only other thing that's super profitable in college sports in a degree to where we'd be paying people millions of dollars is maybe March Madness, and that's about it. So this is really a college football specific issue. But I mean, it could get the ball rolling.
Yeah, actually, I never thought that it would go like this high, I guess. I kind of felt like something was going on when Trump went to Alabama's commencement speech. I was like, that just seems like there's something happening there. And then I think this happened the next day, the day after. And I just never thought it would go that far that you'd have to go to the president of the United States and then like start a commission off of it. But that just goes to show how, I guess, like lackluster the NCAA is now. They just don't have any ruling over, specifically what Quinn said, college football. I think everything else, when you look at like golf, lacrosse, soccer, all these other sports, there's not much trouble with them in the NCAA. They still feel like it still feels like the NCAA has reign over those guys. But when it comes to college football, it just feels like college football can do whatever they want. And so the fact of, because we've been talking since Saban's retired. Oh my gosh, he'd be the perfect like president, whatever of a college sports council to like regulate all this stuff. And instead of trying to or seeing Saban kind of fit into a role with the NCAA to do that, instead you're seeing Saban go above the NCAA and go to the government of all things and try and work that out. It just is very surprising to me there, and I'm kind of like with Quinn. I think it's more. you have to have something set in stone for college sports more so than the government itself. You can't have the government regulate college sports. It's going to have to be college sports itself. And that's going to be, do we want to or not? And so the wild, wild west that football is, are you going to have enough people agree that yes, we should regulate this NIL stuff compared to the amount of people that want to pay out this kind of NIL stuff to get all these athletes and try and get their school on brand to win and stuff like that. So I think this is very interesting. It's just I think the main thing I'm taking away from this is that it shows how lifeless the NCAA is now since NIL has begun. And that's only the more reason that NIL needs to be regulated.
I think I think one of the biggest things that this is going to solve is one of the bigger issues right now with NIL is that each state has its own rules and laws governing it. And I think that's what this is probably going to address more so than anything is to make it to where every state has the same laws and rules regarding NIL. So that way there's no one state that has a distinct advantage over the other. For instance, like if let's say Alabama has a cap on the amount of NIL money that a certain player can make, or when this revenue sharing becomes a thing, they have a cap on the percentages that they can make versus Texas has a, 3 times higher percentage. Well, that's a distinct advantage that Texas has over Alabama when it's state laws and rules rather than the university itself. And I think that's kind of the main problem and aspect that I think a commission like this would be able to solve to make a whole big one national kind of rule book that everybody would follow. And I think it would help level the playing field.
I guess my only concern with that is you start getting into the whole like system of the country itself. So is it I'm not like a constitutional lawyer, right? But like to what degree can you force a state government to follow a federal law around paying players at a college sports team? Like I don't know. I just know that we're set up from like a state government up type deal. So I don't know if that's even a possibility. Now they know more than I do, so we'll see. But that would be my concern with that. Is I think more than anything, it's going to help set up a government body like an NCAA type body rather than like a federal law to regulate across states.
And my final point would be that the more the more things you include, the more restrictive everything becomes. So if we're going all the way to the government with, hey, we need to set up these rules to do this, it's only going to get more restrictive down the road. This is just the beginning. We're only what 5, 6 years into NIL, 7 maybe. And if that's so, then it's like, well, if we're already at it here, what about 20 years down the road? That you're gonna have to become more restrictive with NIL and stuff if you're including more. So my thing is like I don't know how to do this, but in Chase's optimistic world, let's revive the NCAA as best we can, give them some sort of love and power in it, and all of us sort of agree with like, hey, these are how the rules should go with the NIL instead of including another, literally the government to regulate our college sport. Because then if they have a hand in on it, that means there's more that they're going to do down the road with college football. When it shits its own thing, it should be able to govern for not doing it. And then it's just going to cause more problems down the road. And that's what I worry about if you're 7 years into NIL and you're like, all right, let's get the government involved to regulate all this. I think about 20, 30 years down the road. Who knows where sports are at that point?
That's a good point, and you're definitely on the right track there. But where the government's going to see it is major universities get government funding, right? And that government funding in turn can be used however they please. And if some of that is used in athletics, then they're going to want to limit how much of that can be shared. It's a trickle down effect of stuff that's above my head and pay grade. But I just know that if I know the federal government, they're going to care. They're going to start to care where their money's going and how much can be used of that. And like you said, that's going to go down a rabbit hole and get worse and worse over the course of 20 years.
So my concern with that is, and us being like, I think we all have dealings with high school sports, right? Like when it comes to private schools versus public schools and high school sports. All right, not every D1 major college is a public university. Like Notre Dame is not a public university. Neither is Stanford or Vanderbilt or Northwestern. Um, so even then, can they? So then, when we're talking about getting the government involved, can they regulate a private company, a private university to the same degree they could regulate a public one? And so that's again why I don't necessarily see like the government route being the way to go, but instead setting up an entity that's over collegiate athletics and that's its like lone responsibility. I think that's the only way to really fix this issue.
Yeah. So set up something like the NCAA, just a little better.
Yeah, but with more teeth.
Right. Guys, thanks for watching. That was our breakdown on Saban and his co-commissioner role, whatever you want to call it. Appreciate you guys tuning in. There's more where this comes from. More videos down the pipe. Appreciate you watching. Freddie, been joined by Chase and Quinn, and we'll see you guys in the